Getting yourself comfortable on your mat, taking a moment to get centered. So feeling your sits bones on the floor, getting your spine nice and long. Closing your eyes for a moment, checking in to see how your body is feeling today. And being gentle with any tender spots. Remembering that yoga is a work in, not a work out. So always listening to what's going on for you. And today's class is a morning flow to get you awake. So let's start by just dropping our chin to our chest, letting the back of your neck stretch out. Taking a few breaths, letting your shoulders move away from your ears. And then slowly taking your nose into a nice big circle. Being gentle with any tender spots. We're going to wake up our body slowly this morning. And then taking your head in the other direction. Again, nice and slow. And back to center. Taking your shoulders to your ears, and we'll let them roll down our back. Bringing our fingers to your mat. Let's inhale, reach the arms up. Bringing the palms together and bringing them back down to our heart. Closing your eyes here. It's always nice to set an intention for your practice. So a word that you would like to carry through as we go through our poses. And once you have that, we'll reach the fingers back up to the ceiling and letting them float back down towards the floor. We'll do a little side bend, taking the left arm up and coming over to your right. Breathing into that space. And then back to center. Let's go over to the other side, reaching up and over. And then back to center. And a little twist here, left hand to right knee, right hand behind, looking over your shoulder. And then back to center. Let's go over to the other side, looking over your left shoulder. And then back to center. So a good way to clear out any cobwebs, get you fresh and ready to go for your day, is to do our Kalabati breath. So it's a forceful exhale, short inhale, and it's also known as shining skull or breath of fire. So with that breath, we're going to be pulling our belly in towards our spine. So it's a lot of movement from the core, so pulling that in. And as you do that, you're going to be exhaling through your nose. So it's going to sound like this. So when you're ready, you can start. Making sure your shoulders are not going up. And then coming back to your regular breath. Taking a moment, closing your eyes, checking in to see how you're feeling. Maybe feeling a flood of energy. And we're coming onto our hands and knees, coming into our table position. Getting your wrists underneath your shoulders, your knees under your hips. Making sure your fingers are nice and wide here. And we'll start with some cat-cows. Exhale, rounding your back. Inhale, belly sinks down, head and tailbone come up. Just moving back and forth. Noticing how that feels for your spine, for your back. Coordinating your breath and your movements. Yoga is all about the union of breath and movement. Beautiful. Coming back to center, let's come into child's pose. We'll get our hips to our heels. Stretching your arms out, letting your head hang down towards the floor, making sure it's supported. So if you need to, you can bring your palms together, resting your forehead onto your hands. And if you can get your head all the way down to the floor, fantastic. Breathing all the way up the back body. And then we'll come back up, getting ourselves back into our table position. Let's stretch out the legs a little bit. So we'll take the right leg out, toes are on your mat, and just pumping your heel just to wake up the calves, wake up the toes. And then we'll lift that leg up so it's parallel to your mat. Hips are parallel to the floor. And then just lifting your leg up and down, keeping your nose towards the mat, keeping your belly button pulled in towards your spine. So nice and strong. And from here, we're going to take that knee, bringing it into the nose, rounding your back. And then inhale, stretching it out. So moving with your breath again, being very mindful as you move, only doing what feels right for you. And then we'll send that leg out. Keeping your balance, we'll take the opposite arm out. Breathing. And then bring your hand back down, knee back down, and resting again into child's pose. Making sure your head is supported. Taking a few resting breaths here. And we'll come back up to table and get to do the other side. So let's take the left leg out, gently pumping your heel, waking up the calves and the toes. And then we'll lift that leg up parallel to the floor. Let's take it up and down, keeping your breath flowing. At any point, if you find you're holding your breath, you might be doing too much. So just make some adjustments. And then from here, let's bring the knee to the nose, rounding your back. And inhale, sending it out. Back and forth with your breath. Very mindful movements here. And the next time you send that leg out, let's just hold it there. We'll bring the opposite arm for a little balance. Focusing on a spot that's not moving. And then bringing your hand and your knee back down. And we'll come back into child's pose again, taking another rest. And then we'll come into table. Let's round our back into a nice black cat. We're going to curl the toes and bringing our hips up to the ceiling, coming into our downward facing dog. Maybe walking one heel out at a time. Checking in to see how this is feeling for you. Making any adjustments if it's not right. And then maybe bringing both heels towards the floor. Head is in between your arms. Hips are up towards the ceiling. Taking a couple breaths here. Then we'll bring our hands back to meet the feet. Bending your knees and just hanging out into a little ragdoll. You can grab hold of your elbows, swaying from side to side. Coming back to center, back to stillness. Let's uncross those arms, bend the knees. And very slowly making your way up, keeping your chin tucked until you're feeling stable, and then letting your shoulders and your head come back up. Standing up nice and tall in mountain pose, stacking knees above ankles, hips above knees. Shoulders and ears above your hips, closing your eyes, and coming back to your breath. We'll inhale, reach the arms all the way up, bringing the palms together and back down to your heart center. Let's do two more like that. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, back to your heart. Once more, inhale. And exhale. Beautiful. Let's go to the top of our mat. Standing back into mountain pose. We're going to do a little sun salutation flow just to get you awake here. So standing up nice and tall. We're going to take it slow to start. Inhale, we'll reach the arms up. Palms are facing each other. And then as you exhale, let's do a slight back bend. Heart expanding up to the sun. Then inhale, reaching back up. Palms come back together. And slowly folding back down over your hips. Let's hang out here for a couple of breaths. Letting your head relax. On your next exhale, let's come halfway up and then taking yourself back down. We'll take the right leg back, bringing the knee down to the mat. Let's sink into our low lunge this morning, see how this feels. So making sure that left ankle is underneath your left knee. Left knee is in your armpit, ideally. Hands are on either side. And sinking in, maybe lifting your nose, feeling a nice stretch here. And then bringing your hands to that left knee, maybe sinking in a little bit deeper. And then maybe bringing your arms up to the ceiling. Breathing, releasing, waking up. And then slowly bringing your hands back down. We'll curl the back toe, lift that knee, and bring the left foot back to meet the right, coming into our plank pose. So if this is not going to work for you today, bring your knees to the mat. Otherwise, we're going to pull the belly button in, wrists are under the shoulders, heels are pushing back. Taking a couple breaths here. And then we will bring our knees down to the floor just so we can bend the elbows, keeping them tight to your body and lowering back down to the mat. Keeping your hands where they are, tucking those elbows close to your body. We'll lift up and then lowering back down. And then this time pushing yourself back onto your knees, curling your toes and back into downward facing dog. Hips to the ceiling, head in between the arms, breathing here. And we'll just take a leisurely walk back up to the top of the mat, folding back over your hips. And to protect your lower back, let's squeeze those thighs together. Going to reach the arms nice and big and wide, coming all the way back up. Grabbing hold of that sun, it's up there somewhere behind the clouds, and then pulling it down to your heart. Closing your eyes, taking a moment to absorb and feel that flow that we just did. Feeling your heart beating. We're going to do the other side. So as you inhale, let's reach the arms all the way up. Palms facing each other. And then as you exhale, slight back bend. Breathing and inhale, back up nice and long. Palms together and exhale, folding forward. And this time as you inhale, let's come halfway up and exhale, fold. We'll take the left leg back. Bring the knee down to the floor, coming into our low lunge. So right ankle is underneath your right knee, hands on either side, hips sinking down. Taking a few moments to settle here. And then squeezing your thighs together, let's see if we can reach the arms up, looking up to that beautiful sun. And then slowly bringing your hands back to the earth. We'll curl the toes of the left foot, lifting that knee, bringing the right leg back to meet it. Coming back into plank or having your knees on the floor, whatever works. Taking a couple breaths. And you can either bring your knees back to the mat and lower yourself down, or you can tip forward and bend your elbows, keeping them tight to your body as you lower down. And then we'll all come up, little baby cobra, coming back down. And then meeting back in our downward facing dog. Taking a couple breaths here. And then we'll take those feet back up to the top of the mat. Folding over your hips. Squeezing your thighs and reaching those arms all the way up. Bringing the hands back to your heart. Taking a moment to notice how you're feeling. We're going to do a couple more, one on each side, and just speeding it up a little bit. At any point, if it's too much, you can rest in child's pose. So, on your next inhale, let's reach up. Taking a slight back bend, reaching back up and slowly coming down. Coming halfway up. Exhale, fold. We'll take the right leg back, sinking into that hip, reaching the arms up. Back down to the floor, coming back into our plank pose, making sure it feels right for you. And then chaturanga, all the way down to the floor, coming into a little baby cobra, maybe even an up dog here. And then we'll meet again in down dog. And you can either walk or hop yourself up to the top of the mat, folding over your hips, squeezing those thighs. Let's reach the arms all the way up to the ceiling. And back to our heart. Taking a breath here, in and out. And then on your next inhale, reaching up, we'll do the other side. Slight back bend, reaching up and folding. Coming halfway up and lower. Taking the left leg back, knee to the mat, reaching the arms up and back down. Come into plank pose, taking a breath here, and then transitioning back down to the mat, and either baby cobra, up dog, whatever works for you. Meeting back again into our downward facing dog. And then hop or walk to the top of the mat. Squeezing those thighs. Let's reach all the way up. And back to our hearts. Taking a moment, seeing how you're feeling after that. Feeling that heart beating. I hope you're feeling more awake this morning. Breathing. And just to strengthen the legs, let's reach the arms out as if we're about to grab hold of a ball. We're going to set those hips back and down, coming into a little chair pose this morning. Just firing up those thighs, making sure you have a smile on your face here. And then we'll lower the hands back to the floor, straightening out those legs. And then we'll make our way back down to the mat. Gonna have our legs out in front. Taking a moment to settle here. If your back is a little bit tender today, you can bend your knees. And closing your eyes, allowing yourself to settle into your sits bones. Feeling all that energy flowing through you and around you. And we'll do a little forward bend here. So we're going to bring the right leg up and let the knee relax down. We're going to reach the arms to the ceiling and exhale, fold. Not holding here, but moving with your breath. So inhale, reaching up. Exhale, fold. Each time you inhale, you're getting a little bit longer and maybe folding a little bit deeper as you exhale. And on your next exhale, let's Let the arms rest wherever they are. Just taking 3 breaths here, breathing into any tight spots. And then slowly coming back up. We'll take the left hand over to that right knee and take the right hand behind us, looking over your right shoulder. Just opening those shoulders a little bit more with each breath. And then slowly coming back around, bringing that right knee up. I'm going to cross the right knee over the left, bringing the right arm around and the left hand behind. So an open twist, looking over your left shoulder. Sitting up nice and tall. And then slowly coming back around, stretching that leg out. We'll give them a little shake and get ready to do the other side. So left leg comes in, sitting up tall. Let's reach the arms up. Exhale, folding, not holding here, but just flowing with your breath. Beautiful. Let's do one more. And this time, as you fold over, just letting your hands rest, taking some breaths here. And then we'll roll our way up. Let's bring the right hand to the left knee, left hand behind, twisting it out. And then coming back to center, bringing the left knee up and crossing it over. Left arm around, right arm behind, looking over your right shoulder. And then slowly coming back around, taking your left leg out. We're going to open our legs up today. So finding a width for your legs that feels right for you. And making sure that your sits bones are on the mat. We'll take our left and right thigh and just bring them forward so that we're moving forward. And let's bring our hands on our knees, taking a moment to allow everything to settle here. And then maybe bringing your fingers to the floor. We'll reach up with the left arm and coming over to the right. Breathing into that space. And then back to center. Let's bring the right arm up and coming over to the left. And back to center. Bringing your hands in front, let's slowly make our way forward. Wherever you feel there's some resistance, just letting your head relax, breathing into those areas of tension, tightness. And then we'll slowly make our way back up. Let's bring those legs back in. one at a time. Give them a shake. And then we'll ease our way down onto the floor. So making sure that your back is supported, maybe lifting your hips and setting them back down. Having your heels lined up underneath your knees, arms by your side. Connecting back again with your breath. And as you exhale, we're going to lift the hips up off the floor, making sure your neck has enough room, holding your hips up here. Keeping your breath moving freely and easily. And then slowly lowering yourself back down. Beautiful. Let's bring our knees. We'll send the right leg out, hugging that left knee up towards your shoulder. And then we'll switch sides. Right knee comes in, left leg goes out. And then bringing both knees back in again, we'll take our hands behind our head, elbows extending out. Taking your left leg out, left elbow across the body, and then we'll switch sides. Wake our core here, keeping our head and shoulders off the mat. Five, four, three, two, and one. Letting your head relax. Knees can come in for another hug. And then we'll bring the feet back down to the mat. Send our arms into a T or cactus shape. We'll let the knees come down to the right, shoulders resting down, and head to the left. Breathing down into your belly and just letting go. And then we'll bring the head and the knees back to center. Maybe bringing the knees in and sending them from side to side, rocking back and forth and massaging your back. And then setting your feet back down onto the floor, arms extending out, and we'll set ourselves up. Come over to the left with your knees and head to the right. Breathing down into your belly. Bringing your head and your knees back to center. Maybe placing a hand on each knee. We'll take the knees into circles. And then the other direction. Maybe taking each knee in different directions if that feels right for you. And then we'll bring our feet back down to the floor. Let's stretch the legs out nice and long, taking up space on your mat. Arms resting out. Coming into Shavasana, the most important pose of the whole practice. Maybe while you're here, coming back to your intention. Noticing how you're feeling after we've moved our body. Feeling all that wonderful energy flowing around. And while you're here, I'd like to share a poem by Zach Beach. It's called Waves and Wind. The lighter you become, the more becomes possible. Water released from its bonds of the ocean can swirl around the entire world, but once trapped in a cloud, upon gaining weight again, it returns to the earth. So become even lighter, be like smoke, dissolve spaciousness, slip into nothingness, be carried through the wind, tasting rice paddies and mountain peaks and sand dunes, and become even lighter, for which time does not exist, traveling to outer realms of knowing. If you wish to go beyond this universe, to break free of worldly tribulations, shed your armor, release heavy tension, dissolve your very soul, and discover love and light, and let go into the true beyond. Coming back into your body, beginning to wiggle your fingers and toes, bringing a full breath into your belly, and taking your time as you slowly come back up, coming back into a seated position. We'll bring our hands together at our heart center. We'll do 3 ohms together, taking a big breath in. Beautiful. And may you hold yourself in loving kindness for the unique being that you truly are. Namaste.